What's going on, everybody? This is your man, Big Stu, Scott Stewart or Professor Stewart, depending on how you know me. And welcome back to another edition of Dope People. And I am super excited because since we started this podcast, I have not let anybody down with dope person after dope person after dope person. And today's guest continues that streak of dopeness. We have the incomparable, the intelligent, the beautiful Steward Baugh, gracing us with her presence today on Dope People. Lisa Baugh, welcome to the show.
All right, thank you. Hello, everybody.
All right. So I just want to let the people know a little bit about who you are,
Okay.
Right? You've done some work in recovery as a recovery coach. You've worked in social services, advocating, supporting, embracing, empowering women for more than 20 years. You barely look 20 years old, but you've been doing this for more than 20 years. In your personal life, you choose to, be with your girlfriends through community, your maternal experiences. I don't know what that is. We'll talk about that. Child health, mental illness, substance abuse, homelessness, and so much more. You're a connector, like you're the plug, right? You're a leader, you're a mentor, you are the cleanup woman, and you are even a master trainer. Unbelievable. I want to know a little bit more about that. What I do know about you is that you're certified to facilitate several research-based workshops and groups, but are not limited to, but they do include life and parenting skills. I know I could use some of that. Mental health education and support, abuser intervention, sexual assault, which is super important, recovery. I don't even know what John's training is. Is that the people who pick up the prostitutes?
That is.
I don't know. Wow. Look at that. I'm old school. You talk about John training, domestic violence, healing. Your minds. Let's look. This guest today has a gift for connecting and embracing women, especially and particularly, specifically, those women who tend to be broken or who have experienced some sort of trauma and crisis and other situations. Currently, Lisa sits in the position of region manager for Cedar South, overseeing FACES, family support, and community engagement, including her recent acceptance of 100 Women Who Care, an organization that uses the power of collective giving to make a positive difference in the diverse neighborhoods of Chicago. All right, that is more than a mouthful. Again, welcome to Dope People, Lisa Steward.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us some of your time. Step away from wearing that cape and being all of your dopeness to tell us how we might be able to impart some dopeness on ourselves today. Before we get into why you're here, let's let the people know a little bit about who you are beyond the technical writing introduction of you. Let's play a game. You want to play a game? Let's play a little game of this and that. You into it? You ready for a little game of this and that?
Let's go for it.
Cool. All right. Wonder Woman or Catwoman?
Catwoman.
Wow. Okay. Night on the town or night at home?
Night at home.
Wow. Gospel or R&B?
Gospel.
Wow. Really? Okay. Summers or winters?
Summers. That's an
Summers. Yeah, that's an easy one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was easy, huh? All right. Well, let me see if I can make it a little more challenging for you.
Okay.
All right. You seem prepared. You seem pretty confident about this game of this or that.
Let's go for it.
All right, let's go for it then. Dig deep. Oh, you challenging me. Okay. Well, this is a deep one. Are you ready?
Yes.
Deep dish or thin crust?
Thin crust.
Okay. All right. Cheddar cheese popcorn or butter popcorn?
Cheddar cheese.
Wow. Okay. All right. Home cooked meal or restaurant?
Is that a trick question?
The people don't know you.
I'll go for home cook.
Yeah, the people don't know you. They don't know. So, maybe I know you, but we're trying to let the people know you a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And you are bringing it. You are bringing it in this round. So let me go. Let's go there. Let's go there.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Employee or employer?
Employer.
Wow. Save now or save later?
Now.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all I got. That's pretty much all I got. That's all I got. That's all the insight I have for you on this episode of This or That. Give it up for a nice, confident round of This or That.
Okay. I got one for you.
You got one for me? You want to spin it on me?
Yeah.
Well, this ain't about me. This ain't your show either.
I just figured I'd get one in.
You tried it, but not. You had to get your own podcast. You're in my house right now. All right. Good try though. Good try. All right. So listen. Tell the people where you're from. Where'd you go to school?
So I'm from the south side of Chicago, south side. Mm-hmm. And I went to school at Percy L. Julian.
And that's high school. So
high school.
You skipped all the way to high school. What about college?
You wanted me to go to? You wanted me to start from birth?
No, that's where you started from. What about did you go off to after finishing high school? Did you go off to college anywhere? Or what was that like?
After Percy L. Julian, I went to Grambling State University, HBCU. Mm-hmm. Then left there after a year, came home and did a couple of semesters at South Suburban, took a break, then did a couple of semesters at DeVry, and took another break.
Okay.
Then I finally came back and went to Olivet and completed my associates and my bachelor's. And then I went on to Lewis University and completed my master's.
She taught at Lewis University. Congratulations on completing your master's. So this podcast, Dope People, is designed to talk to high achieving, very successful educational leaders, right? And somebody may say, well, she's not an educational leader. She works in social services. Why is she on the show? And as we heard in your introduction about who you are, you do a lot of teaching. Mm-hmm. You educate a lot of people, particularly women, on a lot of different things. As you think about your own educational journey, right? I want to ask you two questions. First, what was your experience with school? Like, what kind of student were you? And how does that translate into your work today?
So on the onset, I was a horrific student. I was not a good student. Average. And maybe depending upon what school and what grade, it might have been deemed as below average in some areas. Wow. It wasn't until I became an adult, an independent functioning adult, that I became very serious about school. And it was very different because at that time that I became serious, I recognized that it was something that I wanted, as opposed to what I was led I needed to do. meaning coming out of high school that my parents wanted me to go to college and my parents wanted me to do this. And I don't think on the onset it was what I wanted to do. And, as I can reflect back, leaving high school and going to college, it was definitely what my parents wanted.
And how does that translate, that experience for yourself? How does that translate to how you engage and educate, teach, direct women in your work today?
So one of the things that I share just simply about that experience is being honest about what you want to do, and recognizing that when we are not always doing what we want to do, that sometimes it could be deemed as people pleasing. And as I reflect back, that's exactly what it was with my parents. I wanted to please them. As I interact with women that are broken, that's predominantly their story, that they were attempting to please somebody else. So that's usually a starting point when I'm working with them. If they want to gain their own independence and what that looks like. And that usually unravels to a lot of other things: low self-esteem, not feeling cared for, feeling less than, and a host of other feelings and emotions.
I've deemed you as an educator for the purposes of this show, but do you see yourself in this moment, how that correlation exists, that you are in fact an educator?
Most definitely.
And so what would you tell your younger self, knowing what you know now, the student who was underperforming or wasn't utilizing her full God-given gifts? Because you're phenomenal in the work that you do now. What would you tell your younger self, knowing what you know now?
I would definitely tell my younger self to be honest. To be honest with yourself. The next thing that I would tell my younger self is to not be afraid to be who I am. I think I was very concerned about what other people thought of me. And as a result, it gauged how I moved.
Understood. Did you always imagine, even as a youngster, did you always imagine being in like a leadership role, or a role like, was this what you saw for yourself?
Never.
What was that?
When I was a little girl, it was like, I wanted to be a lawyer because I felt like I can talk anybody through and convince anybody anything. And then when I went away to school at Grambling, my major was psychology and speech pathology. And then after that, it was, I wanted to, be in business for myself, and really not clear what that looked like, but, seemed like the thing to do, and at that time I might've been doing some things within my church, printing programs and different things like that. So I thought that it might behoove me to get some experience about being in business. It wasn't until my daughter was in elementary school. And when I say this, I didn't realize this until later, that when my daughter was in elementary school, I was very involved with the PTA and so forth. And the principal would call me quite often when parents or grandparents would come into the school and they didn't have for their kids, or if somebody was fostering kids. And she would always call me, Mrs. Baugh, just want to let you know we had a grandmother come in and they don't have anything. And I'd be on the phone like, why the heck is she calling me? But as soon as I hung up that phone, I was right into action. It was calling my church, calling my pastor, calling friends and family. I began to, devote Christmas the week before Christmas as a celebration to get together with friends and family and still gather items for a needy family, and giving them. And there were other areas in my life where I later realized that God was preparing me for the work that was to come. And that was, engaging with individuals in my life that had struggled with alcohol or drugs, engaging with individuals that had been in abusive relationships, and these are all things that either I indirectly counseled people on, and I say indirectly because maybe they were friends or friends of friends, and just kind of talking them through some things. But I later realized that God was preparing me. And what's really interesting is I resisted a lot of that. I fussed about it. It really wasn't what I wanted to do. And this might sound really crazy, Scott. At times when it didn't happen, I was upset that it didn't happen. Because I had expected it had been going on for so long, I expected it, even though I was frustrated behind it. But I realized that once I, just said, okay, then everything, it was like the floodgates just opened. Opportunities came, and when those opportunities came, I just flourished. I elevated. It just worked, and it became very natural, and we just went from there.
It's absolutely phenomenal. I'm always intrigued to hear people's journey to get to from where they were to where they are, particularly highly successful people like yourself. So now, you're in a new role recently, and you've had to move into this space of managing people.
Mm-hmm.
What has that transition? And I really want you to think about the listeners who are leaders, other leaders, and leaders tend to learn from other leaders. And we as leaders, we listen to other folks who are also doing great things, but also think about the emerging leaders, these new young leaders. What did you have to change? What did you have to shift in you in order to be an effective manager, really? So what's working for you in the work that you currently do, especially around managing of other folks?
So on the onset, what works for me is to observe. A lot of times people come into positions, organizations, and the first thing that we want to do is put our handprint on it. We want to bring people in. We want to shift. We want to create new policies and procedures before we even know what's going on. So on the onset, it's just observing. It's asking questions. It's making myself accessible to each of the individuals and each of the programs that I oversee. So I can ultimately make sure that I provide support in areas that need that initial support, and that I'm clear on what everybody is supposed to do, because it can make it very challenging to guide and manage people in their positions if you don't have an idea of what they're supposed to do.
What do you think would be that, like, 3 or 4 ingredients to effective leadership or effective management? You can pick either one. Leadership. I'm kind of clumping these two terms in kind of one: leadership, management of particularly of people, not as a business management and people management, which is the leadership component. What do you think those ingredients are to be an effective manager of people or leader?
So buy-in, that's an important ingredient, that the individuals that I'm working with have some buy-in to what it is we're doing, the mission, the organization's mission or vision statement. And that buy-in, and maybe this is a 2-for-1, but that buy-in, I see it as bringing my team together to establish a mission statement just for our program and getting them to be a part of that. Because my thinking is that if you have a stake in what you said we will do, then you will actively be a part of doing it and getting it done. The other ingredient that I see being important is sharing. Sharing my own experiences, sharing the things that I value. That's important. And of course, communication, effective communication. One of the things that I share with my team when I come into a room or greet them in the morning, it's usually good morning, so-and-so, how you doing? And usually people keep walking. Well, I look for a response. If I ask you how you're doing, I'm waiting for a response. And I'm making an effort to listen to what your response is, in addition to just the things that you share, so that maybe one day I might come in and say, how was your husband's birthday celebration this weekend? Or how was your kid's Christmas recital? And people remember that. It's almost like if I buy into them, if I create opportunities to empower them, then they in turn have a level of excitement and want to come in and show up, for the organization, for the program, but for me as a supervisor, for me as a leader.
That's dope. That's dope. And that's a gem that we could take away. I hear you when I hear you say that it's like pay attention, be in the moment, be present to your people, and there's a level of compassion there. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Some compassion might be another ingredient.
I would. Yes.
Yeah, it sounded like you described that. What do you think could be improved on in your work? And before you answer, it's like I swear by this book by Malcolm Gladwell, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. An absolute phenomenal book that I've read once and I reflected back on a number of times. And the book is designed to help already high achieving individuals achieve higher. And part of that is that reflectiveness or the self-awareness. In this moment, I'm asking you, what do you think could be improved in your work? Not necessarily critical of the organization that you serve, but in the work that you do. Where are the areas that you think are still under development or could be improved?
Oh, wow. So that's a really deep question. I believe that, so let me answer that in this way. I used to share with my colleagues or people in my circle that I am a multitasker. I used to just kind of highlight that, that I'm able to do multiple things and get multiple things done, and communicated it as if it was something great and that it allowed me to manage my time better. And I was in a meeting and someone shared that multitasking simply means that you're doing multiple things. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting anything done. And so in my truth and my vulnerability in receiving that, I had to recognize that there was some truth in that with me, that I was doing a lot of things, And not by doing that, it didn't allow me to do my very best in areas that probably warranted more of my attention. So I can best answer that today it's important that I am not a multitasker. It's important today that I am focus oriented, that I can address one or two tasks and give it my very best as opposed to my average.
So again, we're here on Dope People. We're talking to Lisa Steward Baugh about how her work and as in social services is the work of an educational leader and what that looks like. And there's some hope that some of what is being shared today may be helpful to someone else. We're post-pandemic from the lens of learning, right? Pre-pandemic, all learning, not all, that's a fake term, all. Lots of learning took place in person. Like you wanted to take a class, the default was to be in person. And it was almost like if you couldn't make time for the class, you missed out. And during the pandemic, it was revealed in this remote learning, like not only can I be there, but I can do multiple classes in a day. I don't have the travel time. I can go to the one in California, the one in Boston, and the one in my hometown. In your opinion, this is pure opinion. You can be as creative as you like here. What does the future of education look like?
Oh, wow. I think we're seeing a glimpse of it. The future looks like it's in the palm of your hand, the ability to push a button, the ability to go to your computer or your iPhone or your Android phone or tablet and kind of type in whatever subject you want to know, and it pops up with a curriculum for some, or webinars that is literally at the palm of your hands. It's like everything has turned into a microwave environment. We just pop it in and poof, there it is, whatever we want. It also, by doing that, or by education being accessible in that manner, it requires people to be attentive, because I remember going from going into the brick and mortar to go to school. And then in my master's program, doing it all online. That meant that I was responsible for the outcome, just me. I knew what the professor expected based off of the syllabus and the information that was given. And it was up to me to show up and be on time and produce. And so with that, there's an expectation that people are going to do that too. If I look it up and I'm interested, then I'm going to show up and I'm going to participate.
That is absolutely phenomenal. That showing up, that requirement to be, again, present and being responsible for your outcome. I'm glad that you were able to share that. So that's big. That's big. And that was a major gem for me in this conversation with you on what the future of education looks like, being in the palm of your hand, kind of this on-demand micro education, quick lessons. And the more I want to learn, the deeper I can dig. I should have asked this and a this or that. And so I'll bring it back up, but in an indirect manner. Do you think going to college is as important today or will be as important tomorrow as it was in the past?
I don't. However,
And you're saying this as a master degree holder.
yeah.
So with all due respect,
yeah, because in my truth, before I became degreed, I was in a director's position. I was running multiple programs citywide. I was being elevated consistently without that paper. However, there were things that I was limited on as it related to other jobs, because that's what they expected, and especially in the social service arena that are run by grants. The grants usually require certain educational levels, certain educational certifications, particularly master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, doctoral degrees, social work degrees. So, for that reason, in addition to my wanting to do some things complete that for myself, that was important, but now, looking back, I tell people that are concerned about returning, or adults going to college, is I tell them, get certifications. You can get a certificate in recovery coaching, and you renew it every 3 years. You can get certified in diversity training and recertify. You can get your substance abuse certification, and you just have to do things to maintain it. You can get CEUs, and those things will help you progress. Now, I don't know if it will get you a seat at the president's table. However, I know that it will get you in places, some of the same places that someone like me with a degree can get. Particularly, again, I'm speaking specifically about social services, that industry relies a lot on experience, especially lived experience. So if in social services, if I worked in the homeless population, and if I had experienced homelessness, that was a plus on my resume. If I was a substance user or abuser, and I work with that population, that's a plus on my resume.
That's big. So I need to get clarity on your answer, because in one you said no, but then you gave me a lot of reasons on how it's helped you and you even achieving yours. So one chance, I'm going to ask the question again. I know you said no, but I'm like, oh, she said no, but she did it, and she talked about all, get the certificates, get the certifications. So you're saying college, being degree ain't that important in your line of work if you want to accomplish some things, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. You heard it here first.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it here first. If you want to be in this space and you feel like you're undereducated, you might not be. Mm-hmm. And if you are, it may not require you going to get a degree. You can find the appropriate certificate training program or certification and get off that couch and get from in front of this live or this video and go ahead and get going at what it is that you want to do. And so that's awesome to hear. Thank you for sharing that. I don't think I would have known that had I not had this conversation with you. As we wrap this up, are there any final thoughts or words that you want to leave with the people today? Well,
yeah, there are a couple of things. I just want to remind people to check in. You touched on the fact that we are in a pandemic, and you spoke on it as it related to, how people are receiving information and learning. Even so, I just want to remind people to check in, because being in the midst of this pandemic has affected people in so many different ways. And we assume that when people say that they're okay, that they are, and that's not always the truth. The other thing I just want to share that I keep front and center, one of my favorite quotes from the awesome Michelle Obama is when they go low, you go high. And I speak that and share that particularly with the women that I work with that are broken because they've been so low for so long, and just reminding them that they have the tools or can be given the tools to go high. And once they get there, we call it liquid gold. Once they get to that liquid gold, that they never have to go low again. And when they encounter people that attempt to bring them low, just remember, when that happens, then you go in the opposite direction and you go high. The last thing that I want to share is that you can do anything that you want to do. In my truth, if someone had told me 30, 40 years ago that I was going to experience the type of career path that I have, I probably would not have believed it. And today, I not only believe it, I've walked it, I'm in it, and I'm looking for everything else that's to come.
Wow, that is a gem, a number of gems that you just dropped. When they go low, you go high, and you really can accomplish anything. And I know it sounds, to me, in my immature days, it would have sounded very corny and cliche-ish for you to say, you can do anything. But you really can. You really can with the right mindset, with the right intention, with the right focus. The resources do exist. The help is there.
Yes.
And be sure to check in. It's the other thing. Check in. This is awesome. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on Dope People today. Tell the people where they can contact you. If there's a young woman who is, maybe she's the network chief or school superintendent, she's achieving everything. She's got all the boxes checked off, got the right husband, the dog, the 3 kids, the degrees, all the money, but she ain't figured out the check-in part. Where can she get in contact with you or other people like that? Where can they find you?
So if you or someone you know is interested in trying to figure out how to recalibrate and to be clear, you can reach me by calling me at 708-439-9788.
Direct phone number, y'all. Now, that's a first on Dope People, where somebody is giving you their direct phone number. And truth be told, that's the same number I got. She didn't even give y'all a separate number. She gave you the real deal Holyfield number. Run that number one more time, please. 708
439 9788.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much, Lisa Steward Baugh. I heard you earlier say you went to Grambling. You know this, but I'm repping Southern University. I'm repping Southern University, but HBCUs are rocking the house today.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure to have you on Dope People. I salute you, my sister, my friend, my colleague. You are officially dope stamped. And all y'all out there, you already know what it is. Until next time, peace.
Thank you.